Each car isn't just different in looks in Rocket League, but also in how it interacts with the ball. Unseen to the player, each car has an individual hitbox, which range in height and width. These hitboxes are what separate which cars are good for dribbling, flicks, and aerials. Look out for different cars being used in the Elite Series to fit each individual player's needs. Hoops is one of Rocket League's custom modes. This mode includes a new ball, raised goals, and also a new map called Dunk House Arena. A hat trick is when a player scores 3 individual goals in one game. Rocket League awards this player with a medal in game, letting you know you are doing a standout job for your team. The Elite Series has already been home to some awesome hat tricks, with hopefully many more to be seen in the coming weeks.
Makes sense, but you know what I mean. He is there, he is pumped. Do I look scruffy? I think I might look a bit scruffy. Hands in pockets, hands behind.
All right.
Folded.
I'm holding hands in pockets.
You did see the Rocket League A to Z. H for Elite.
Yeah.
Good. All right, let's do this. Gentlemen, what are you going to say for this matchup 3? Envy taking on Endpoint. Cole, I'll come to you first. Who do you reckon?
This is such a close one. You can flip a coin, and then whichever way it comes out, that's what you could vote for. I'm going to go for Endpoint.
I want you to follow your heart, though.
I'll follow my heart.
Follow your heart.
I'll go for Endpoint with my heart. Just because I feel that if Endpoint don't win this, we've got 3 teams who are 0-3, and that's no good. It's all gone a bit La Liga if that happens. You know, you want it to be nice and spread out.
You do indeed, and obviously we mentioned Cheerio. Who was the other key man out of Tinny or Shakon? They can hear us, don't forget.
Definitely Tinny.
Right there.
Definitely Tinny.
Tinny is in his headphones on.
Yeah.
Oh, you take a walk over there.
I walk there, do I? Yeah. Okay. Do I go behind?
Careful.
Oh, I'm going to break things.
Health and safety, we've got a camera on there. Thanks a lot. Right, with Johnny Boy now. So, big moment. You can join Cole over there.
Cole and his big heart. It's such a Cole thing to go with his heart. I mean, it's you know, I think a good idea for him. He's not known for his brains, but I'm going to go with Envy because these guys, they didn't let me down last week. Yeah. I predicted they would win, and I think it's going to be another close affair, but I'm going to give it to the guys again. They're just a little bit too consistent this season. They do have a win behind their or under their belts as well, which is something Endpoint cannot say for themselves.
Yeah, he doesn't have a heart, or you say what
he's
like
got a heart.
Is that the Scarecrow?
Or is it the Tin Man? The Tin Man didn't have a heart, yeah.
So you're calling him the Tin Man?
Oh no, he's got a heart.
Oh, you see?
He's
yeah.
I don't doubt Cole's heart. I just doubt his brains.
Okay, so you're going for Envy. Basically the boys over there are looking pumped and ready. No snapback for Mount though.
No.
Okay.
But they do have the mustard waffle key.
Okay.
As Cole told us. That's the answer.
Beautiful. Listen, gentlemen, they've chosen who they reckon are going to win matchup 3. I'll tell you what, Shogun, Gregan, we know that you have chemistry when you cast, but who's going to have the successful chemistry in this matchup 3?
That's a very good question, and thank you for the compliment. I think we can agree on that. It wasn't a compliment. So what kind of chemistry is it? Is it explosive chemistry?
It's explosive, it's entertaining, we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
You're going to argue with each other. It's like brotherly love chemistry.
It's fantastic. Me and Gregan all the way. I mean,
should we do that rotator cuff fist bump again? There we go.
I feel like we've just undone every single compliment we just got.
That's fine, we'll take that. But anyway, we just saw them splitting themselves, one going Endpoint, one going Envy.
Oh, man.
Are we going to split?
I know it's Rocket League, but that was car crash TV right there.
That was a demolition and overseen one.
That was painful.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we are here.
And we can bump it up a bit.
Good man, but we are here to save absolutely everything, and we are going to get ourselves into game number 1. A huge match right here, as we can tell that we don't want those 0-3s, but in Rocket League, sometimes you don't get what you want, and you have to earn everything you get. Endpoint, last season's grand champions, and they're still looking to try and find the form that took them to that.
Yes, match 3, Endpoint versus Envyus. Who will come out the victors? We saw Endpoint predicted by Cole, Envyus by Johnny Boy. Who do you think is going to go here, Shogun?
It's very hard, but I'm going to have to go with Endpoint on this one. Just feel like they've got that slight edge when it comes to the experience overall, and they do tend to bring it out, but Against my prediction is I usually predict them to do well towards the end of the season, and we're not even close to that just yet.
Well, interestingly, both these teams are consistent rosters with last season, stuck together, don't use their subs as much anymore, and I think that will give them an advantage as the season goes on, but they've had a bit of a rough start, both teams suffering losses. Endpoint with those two, Envyus only with the one. But I really think this is Endpoint's chance to get their first win. I think they genuinely believe they can beat this Envyus team.
Yeah, they definitely are a better team than their results show right now. But you can set about a lot of teams, and once you start getting yourself into bad habits, it can be very difficult. Cheerio almost managed to get the shot on target, but it was immediately challenged. A little bit of a kerfuffle over in the corner. It's going to allow Envy to try and put some pressure forward, but Cheerio straight over to Tinny. Looking for the passing play. 2 players committed now by Envyus. Going to be difficult to try and set it up. Tinny off the backboard. Here comes the follow-up. Off the crossbar.
Down.
It's going to be needing another one, but Mount will clear it away. And the follow-up means Envy are safe.
Only just, though. Endpoint firing shot after shot here, and a bit of scramble defense from Envyus, but they do get it out of their half. Definitely here, Endpoint looking the favorite in terms of ability to cane pressure in the opposition half. Will it continue? It's a long series ahead, though.
Absolutely. Pressure is one thing. The ability to finish off and actually create good goal scoring.
Oh, what a pass!
What a great chance that was! But the shot! Oh my goodness, I haven't seen anything weaker since I last saw Cole lift.
Okay. Yes, that is certainly a great simile there. Cole, known for his weakness. Very similar to that other shot there. I don't know where to continue from that, Shogun.
You can go and take a look at @SubPapa and HD in the Twitter profile just as a very weak man.
Well, this performance hopefully won't be as weak as his counterpart Stumpy Goblin. As we go halfway through the game, it is 0-0. Shots not coming in too frequently here. But as mentioned before, Endpoint seem to be creating a few more opportunities for themselves.
Absolutely. Envyus have not been out of their half for so long. An opportunity here for Waffle. He's got low boost. Going to choose to play the ball instead of grabbing the boost. He's going to get it on the way back. There's a shot on net. It's going to be very difficult to try and deal with. Chacaron gets himself up. Waffle with the setup. He's got it over to Frizz, who's going to get absolutely nothing.
Can we call that a cold shot now when it's weak?
I feel like we're going at cold just a little bit too much.
Okay, he's a nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
Lacking a bit of strength.
Don't worry, Johnny's next on the hit list.
Okay, right, well, hopefully shots like that coming from Cheerio and get us a goal, because I want to see one of these teams showing what they can do when they're ahead. As right now, it's very much back and forth. 0-0s tend to result in overly defensive teams. You do not want to be the first one to concede, but as soon as that goal opens, it really changes the play style of the team who are ahead and the ones who are behind, looking to be a little bit more aggressive coming from behind.
Absolutely, there's going to be a shot on target. Absolutely nobody in defense. Endpoint will take the opening goal in the series. And to tell you what, considering the amount of work it went into getting our first one, that's a little bit underwhelming.
It was. Chacaron just took it over the top of Waffle and was quick to the ball, sent it towards the net, and it caught Envyus off guard. There is still plenty of time for Envyus to come back, but if they're going to let goals like that go in easily, oh, Cheerio. Powerful shot towards the net, sent away by Frizz, but it is very much in control of Endpoint. They seem to be in possession of the ball that little bit more frequently, so they know where it's going to go, know what the plan is for the next few phases.
Just felt like this game needed a goal just to kick it into gear a little bit more, and now that we have it, Envyus are going to be the team scrambling to find their way back into the match. Mount with the shot, it's going to go all the way off the post. A little bit more accuracy, nobody was going to be there for Endpoint, who are now on the counter-attack. Opportunity for Cheerio. Still can go for the setup. He's got options, and there is one of them. Tinny coming in. Bad angle from him. He cannot turn it into the net.
It's a little bit predictable as well. Once Cheerio took it up that wall, oh, Tinny.
The post again.
Post and away. Tinny very fortunate not to send that one in. You see that so frequently. Players on their goal line, bounces off the woodwork, in off the goal line defense, but it is still Endpoint ahead. That 1-goal lead will do them very well going into this final minute, as I wouldn't be surprised if they get another goal due to an overcommitment from Envyus.
Oh, it's scrappy, but Envyus have kept it away from the net. Now down to the other end of the pitch. There is nobody back. It is now a chase. It is a race, but it will be Mount tying up the series. Greg, and you just dabbed off camera right there.
I was joining in with the Reaper. He did a little, look, just watch it. We won't see it there, but for those, there he is, look at him.
Just like the Reaper, you've killed this series.
Well, you say we've killed the series. The scores have just leveled, Shogun. 30 seconds left, it is 1-1. Envyus being gifted an opportunity by Endpoint, overcommitting hugely. But now, 20 seconds left. This is going to be a tight finish here.
Yeah, and Envy are going to have to try and hold off for the time being. Cheerio being a nuisance over to Mount. It will be difficult to put anything forward, though. Envy down on the counter-attack. They will have their final opportunity. Shot on net just seemed a little bit greedy. Mount was an option to pass straight to. As we're now at the other end of the pitch, Cheerio has the setup. Double commit. Is the third going to be brave enough? No reason to send everyone in when you can just go to overtime.
Overtime, first game. This is going to be a close series. I think we can all safely agree these teams are fairly even when it comes to the Elite Series. Both teams expecting high results, but never quite reaching them, and now they've got to prove, can they beat their counterparts? The solid roster that stays together as Endpoint look to push it to the middle. Do you think we're going to see a Game 5 overtimes more frequently now in this Elite Series?
Well, last season there was definitely a large skill gap between a lot of the teams. This season, definitely less so. There's going to be another huge demo. Endpoint have been everywhere, making everyone explode. But it will not help them out right now as they're currently stuck in defense. An unconventional touch there from Tinny will be good enough. And now, Endpoint trying to play out their own ends. Cheerio trying to do all the work, but he had no backup for so long.
Ceiling shot. This is dangerous to the far corner. And that's going to go off the post and out. The ceiling shot needed to be capitalized on there. It was beautifully executed by Waffle.
The fourth man for Endpoint is that post. The third time it has come in for the save. And overtime will continue. We have just finished the first minute of it. Cheerio trying to set himself up. Does not have any boost to go for the follow. Space did start becoming end-to-end. One demo will ruin the rotation for Endpoint. There's an opportunity to follow up. Mount does get blocked. Cheerio has to try and dodge away from a player. Means he is late. They're going to be a chance. Oh, the block from Frizz, but it just isn't in.
They're just getting so close over and over again. The crossbar, the post, being Endpoint's MVP in this game so far. As we're now a minute and a half into overtime. So even between these two. I don't know which way it's going to go at this point. It's been Endpoint up until halfway, and then it just seemed to switch. Envyus looks so much stronger now.
Absolutely. Overtimes can be such a good teller of how the rest of the series can go, because teams start to become so invested in that one matchup. Can go either way. Chacaron and Tinny both using each other to try and clear the ball, and suddenly the momentum has shifted. Endpoint, who had so much pressure throughout the entirety of the game, suddenly on the back foot. They can't seemingly find a way out. As Tinny, he's actually set that one straight up. A shot on target was played too low. If Mao could have got that top corner, that would have been game.
Yeah, straight at Chacaron. But the pressure is still all Envyus at the moment. Endpoint will be scrambling for boost, hoping they can collect the back corners. As soon as one boost stop comes in, that could be the difference.
Neither of these teams wanting to commit. Envyus with lots of pressure, but no real shadowing players. Instead, putting one person on the back line and someone in the middle of the field. Just seems like they're setting walls on top of walls on top of walls for Endpoint to try and break through. Tinny will try and do just that, but the first wall, the wall of Waffle, comes straight in, gets the block, as Envy continue to mount their pressure.
As soon as it gets to that halfway, there is an Envy player intercepting it, pushing it back forward. Even though they're not creating dangerous opportunities, they're just locking Endpoint down, and finally Endpoint escape their half. Can they score in quick succession on that counterplay? It doesn't look like it's going to happen, as Envyus have now regrouped in defense.
Envy have had so many chances for me right now where if they could just get a decent touch, it would be over. But right now, Endpoint allowing too much to happen. They're basically allowing 4 decent opportunities. Oh, the one will come in! Everything pointed towards Endpoint except for the scoreline, which says 2-1 Endpoint.
Envy just stuck in that corner. Both Waffle and Mount turn towards Cheerio, who wins out the challenge, squeezes it across the net. And Tinny, one of the easiest shots of his life. Anywhere he hits that ball, it's going in.
Like the point I was going to make at the time was Envyus were getting 4 good opportunities compared to the 1 that Endpoint were getting. Unfortunately for Envyus, that 1 was all it took. And they dropped the game. And this is something we see quite often in Rocket League, which is teams that get so used to being an attack that they sort of forget that defense is something as well.
They do indeed. Envyus have been terrible at it in the past, where they've looked so strong, and then one silly mistake gives away a goal, and a goal makes the difference between a win and loss, especially in overtime. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a montage of crossbar and post shots here, because there were so many of them.
Absolutely. This game, only game number 1, but it does go over to Endpoint in the tightest of affairs. Defense just lacking at times. Both these teams need to sort out their rotations. just when they're having opportunities of long-form offense. Because right now, for me, I'm looking at this and just going, if you're in offense for more than 2 or 3 waves, you're actually the team I'm betting against.
Yeah, because you should be scoring within that time. You should be grinding them down, doing things like boost starving. If you can take those back corner boosts, the defense can't make some saves, and that's when you strike, that's when you score. But if you keep hitting waves and they're able to find an equilibrium where they can't score, then you're doing something wrong. Do you like that?
That was a good word.
We spoke about chemistry earlier on. It was in the forefront of my mind.
Yep. See, this is why I like you, Gregan. You're right up there. I compliment you more than anyone else, like once every broadcast.
That a compliment from Shogun means a million compliments from anyone else. You're just...
See, there is something to be said for rarity.
There is rarity, and hopefully the rarity here will not be a sweep. Because we want to see Game 5, we want to see 3-1 sweeps. And as we said earlier on, Gfinity Elite Series Season 2 for Rocket League, we'll be seeing a lot closer games because everyone is at a similar level. But unfortunately, 3-0 sweeps were not a rarity last season. We want them to be now.
Absolutely. And right now, we are going to get ourselves into game number 2. Envyus just need to find themselves a way of bouncing back from what was an incredibly close first game, but the opening goal will be the most telling.
They start off as they mean to go on. The post shot begins the game for Envyus. They hit the post and the crossbar multiple times in game 1. Just a little bit of accuracy on shots can be a huge difference maker for a team.
I'm not counting the amount of post shots, but it is 4.
It is 4. Make sure you're counting at home. With Shogun, we found out earlier on, it isn't the best at counting.
I had to look. I didn't even look at the scoreboard once. Then you asked me, what did the scoreboard say? There's going to be a shot on target in the goal, and Tinny will give Endpoint a 1-0 lead.
This is the difference between accuracy. A great pass from Cheerio in off of the curve of the corner, and at the final moment, Tinny readjusts his car, air rolls to guide it a little bit more centrally, and it goes post and in. You can't get more perfect than a post and in.
Expect Endpoint to try and capitalize on their confidence. Last game, when we saw them in the overtime, this actually shows us a huge difference between teams in overtime and in regular play. Never would you have seen Tinny going for that shot in the overtime, but he recognizes we're in the opening minute, it's the time to take some risks, and the risk results in a goal. Opportunity for the passing play, just not quite there. Envy continuing to look solid in the build, but never any end product.
Yeah, as we just see Mount actually setting up Cheerio here. He can send this towards the middle. Envyus got all bases covered. That backboard is a great place to position yourself when that ball is looming high within your half, as the chances are the ball will stay high, go towards your backboard, and that's when you can clear it.
Oh, Mount has made more of a meal of this than it needed to be, and almost Endpoint putting it 2-0. Cannot afford to be making mistakes like that. Now down to the other end of the pitch, Envy.
Oh,
actually, Frizz is out of boost, cannot go for the follow-up. Mount plays it away from the oncoming defender, but cannot get it away from the defender on the goal line. End-to-end gameplay here in game number 2.
Oh, Shakeron just trying to bait out the defender to come into him so he could flick it across for that infield pass. Remember that word, everybody. It begins with I. We had H as the last letter for the alphabet of Rocket League. Perhaps infield pass might be later on, but yes.
Is this your prediction, is it?
That's my prediction.
Okay. You know what? I think he might get it. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Our boys in the production do above and beyond work around here. Speaking of above and beyond, Endpoint would like to put this game above and beyond their opponents by picking themselves up a second goal. And the current amount of pressure they have might lead towards it. Tinny taking out Shakeron, but Mount comes in. That could go the entire length of the pitch, off the crossbar, taken away, and that was an awful touch, and it's going to result in the post. Number 5.
6.
Oh, really?
6, yep.
It's
that bad. It's that bad that they're so frequent you miss them.
Oh, no. Envy. I mean, if we're going to go by the A to Z's of Rocket League, accuracy is all they need right now, and they start the winning this series.
Start at the beginning of the A to Z. If you want to get good at Rocket League, start with accuracy. As Envy should be 2 or 3 goals up. Now, that did go post, but this time it sneaks in as Waffle finds a goal for his teammates.
A truce finally made. It was like, yes, we can definitely hit the post. You know what? We'll include you in the play. But as long as you go in immediately afterwards, then we'll be fine with that. So, same as last game, 1 goal apiece. Last time we did go into overtime, but 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining means that there is plenty still to play for, and Envy starting to look more and more confident in the offense.
Yeah, it's just that final moment. You saw Frizz actually going for an unorthodox pass, sending it up into the ceiling. It bounces straight down. It's very tough to defend, so that's smart by Envyus to look for that kind of passing situation. But it is just the shooting that is the difference maker at the moment. I cannot emphasize it enough. how much a good pass can be made amazing with a great shot.
It just creates so much power as well. Cheerio.
Oh, they're going for the mid-air passing.
Okay, lads, there's a time and a place to get fancy. That was a little bit too fancy for my taste.
We were actually talking about that the other day, about how that is becoming more and more frequent within Rocket League. People are capable now of sending it back into a falling teammate for a shot. That's a beautiful save by Mount, just sending it away when it was below the crossbar. But this is goal line defense from Envy. They need to find a way out, further away from their net to defend, because leaving it last moment can be risky.
Tenny looks to play it long, gets it straight back into the middle for Cheerio, who does get blocked by Mouse, saw the opportunity and has pounced on it. As now Envyus gonna try and set up for their own shot. The follow-up off the backboard once again, and Cheerio does play it away, but Envyus did have that red. They kept people back, and now they can continue to put this offensive wave, and there's going to be off the backboard. The follow-up from Tinny, going to be up high. Cheerio is going to remove himself from the play for the time being. Waffle, though, is going to put it away. Both these teams getting opportunities, but no one wants to put their cards on the table and say, this is our chance.
Exactly. You've got to try for these crazy moments, because at the moment, shooting it towards net, you're very rarely going to score. You have to try passes. You have to try unorthodox touches. And they are less frequent at scoring, but if they do get pulled off, then they will create a goal.
Cheerio plays it straight down. It's only over to Frizz, who's going to try and take it the entire way himself. Played straight into the body of Shakuron, now down to the other end of the pitch. Waffle will be by himself, going to take his time, allow the rest of his team to rotate in, but there was a boost stolen away, and we have a couple of seconds remaining. One more opportunity. It's going to be full of Cheerio! 5 seconds remaining. 2-1 to Endpoint.
Using that backboard to touch it down to Shakuron, a tough angle for him, but puts it near enough to the net that his teammate Cheerio can come in and not only send that into the net, but in an just a crazy angle. I don't know how to describe it. He brushed across it, dodged away from the ball to send it in towards the net.
Absolutely incredible, and this is going to end the game soon enough. The ball must touch the floor. Frizz looking to create one more opportunity for Envyus, but it's going to be so hard to do, and Endpoint are going to take this game. Gregan, Envyus, so close with the shooting, but not quite making it. They're so close with the games, but they're not quite making it.
The story of the teams in this competition has been it's close, but they can't quite finish. Infused have had 3 reasonably close games, but every time have come out the loss of a very convincing win of the opposition in terms of scoreline. So we saw 3-0, 3-0, 3-1, even though each game had 1 goal the difference. We're seeing it here. Endpoint have won 2 games with 1 goal the difference.
Yes.
That's a close series, but 2-0...
overtime and 5 seconds remaining.
Exactly.
It's nuts.
But then you see 2-0 on the match score, and you suddenly go, Endpoint are dominating, and that's not what Envyus want to see right now. They want to forget the scoreline and just go, we are very much in this game. We've just got to treat this as 3 resets now and win every one of them in their own right.
So, goal 1 off the post. That shot right there, off the post. There's not really much here to analyze apart from how much of an effect the post is having on this game. Apart from this goal. Just here.
Look at that.
Finished off everything. There is no rolls there at all, apart from that one to finish it off. But even then, Greg, in your opinion, did the roll make a difference to the shot, or was that him trying to prepare himself for potentially going back?
So when you dodge away from the ball, you still get the power in it as if you were to dodge forward. But by going away, it kind of like lightly touches it inwards. It's really... you got to do it, and then you see how it works. It's
Rocket League, a game of very small angles.
That one
was absolutely ludicrous. Endpoint now, as close as this series has been, 1 game away, and they'll pick up their first win of the season.
That will be huge for them, because they'll be disappointed with last week's result against Reason, almost getting the reverse sweep back against them. They'll just they have to accept that Method was so strong in week 1. They've got that out the way now, but now is the time for them to prove that they can look dominant. They need to win this 3-0 to give them that confidence boost to go forward, because they are the returning champions, and they have got that ability to stay at the top.
So, to start off this game, Envyus looking to try and put that statement forward that they are not dead just yet. But Cheerio going to go for a solo carry. Just couldn't quite take it the entire length. Demo's coming through, but no follow-up. And it's been a problem for Envyus this entire series. That's
the fake.
Entire length of the pitch, and even without the fake, Waffle was in no position to defend.
Yeah, just a double whiff down there. Tinny goes for the long clear. You see Waffle, he goes for the half foot to try and recover, but he found himself a little bit too far forward. And if it needed it, Cheerio could redirect that ball if he saw Waffle was going for it. So an absolute power position for Endpoint. after the overcommitment from Maut and Frizz.
And this is the absolute worst scenario for Team Envyus.
That's on net.
Oh, I almost had to repeat myself. That would have been the worst scenario, going 2 goals down within the opening minute. Envy now down to the other end of the pitch, but Chacaron, solid clear. Not too great, though. Has to try and go for the follow-up, but Team Envyus, the point I was trying to make before the goal went in is just that second player, the shadowing player, is never roughly where they need to be. It seems like they're just not trusting each other to set up properly.
Yeah, you sit a little bit too far forward, especially in situations where your teammate misses it. You do not expect the quick counter clear to come out. And I think that's what happened for Waffle. He was sitting further forward, expecting his teammate to have full control over the ball. And that's where a miss can change absolutely everything. As Tinny sends it towards the far side, posted out.
Oh, Frizz had absolutely no control over that situation. We'll be happy to see the post coming in his favor for a change. As Envy just trying for passing plays, just not accurate enough though. Follow-up from Frizz will be beat to by Tinny though. And Mal also gets beat by Cheerio. Still an opportunity. Waffle plays that way too early. Chacaron will happily clear that away. And now Endpoint down to the other end of the pitch. Envyus cannot afford to be that wasteful.
Yeah, and you saw Chacaron just position himself inside the net, expecting a shot to come in, and was able to react in more than enough time. Those are the kind of situations where you just need to take it a little bit slower or look for a pass. And Envyus are trying to rush things a little bit here. Chacaron passes it down to Cheerio. That's an all-in play as Waffle wins the 50-50, and that's going to be a breakaway.
Wow. Absolutely wow. You just saw it. The play itself was really good. Unfortunately, if you don't score those, this is exactly what happens. And for Endpoint, as good as the play was, you're a goal up on match point. Was there a need for it?
I don't think so. They've been trying to do those backboard touches down into the middle a little bit, and I think now it's getting a little bit too predictable. They have to mix it up. And I think in that situation, Chacaron probably should have tried to shoot it, or maybe we should have seen them just touch into the corner, waste a bit of time, grind them down, try another wave, but don't give back possession that quickly, because it does result in a counter.
Well, speaking of possession, it is currently with Endpoint, but not for too long. Envyus want to try and trap them in their own half, but unfortunately they have struggled with that so far. Still keeping it over though. Frizz out of position, gonna force Waffle to come in. Those two players committing does ruin the rotation for a very short amount of time for Envyus. And if the touch came in from the Envy, or Tinny I should say, then that would have been the offensive pressure immediately over. 1-1 still with 2 minutes remaining in what could potentially be the final match unless Envyus can find that one extra goal.
Indeed. And I think at this point, Endpoint need to mix up a little bit. They've been looking to pass it back for the shot over and over again. I've seen it at least 3 times this game. This is where you try a backboard touch, or you try an infield sharp pass. And that's the key to Rocket League. Mix it up, force your opposition to have to predict multiple different iterations, and then you might find a way through.
Both of these teams looking very scrappy right now. Maut gonna not take that scrappy at all. Plays it in a straight line and manages to beat at least one player. But this doesn't look like the best rotations we've seen from either team. And instead we've got 2 players committed, and it's going to go off the post. The follow-up from Chacaron will go in. Envyus. Why? Why would you do that?
Again, they find themselves all in the corner. When that ball is in the corner, it's a safe zone. The only place that ball can go is away from your net or in a very acute angle towards the net. Just sit and cover that angle towards the net as a defender. You don't need to rush, because as soon as they take it past you, if you rush, the net is completely free, and that's what we saw there. Tinny could even miss, and there was enough time for his teammate to finish it off.
So Endpoint put themselves 2 goals to 1 up. It has been the end result of every single match so far. Will it be the end result of this 3rd game and give Endpoint the series and their first win of the season? Chacaron would certainly like to make a 3rd one go in and give that much more of a cushion over to his team. Frizz, this could be good, but just as usual for Envy, that whisker away.
Both Cheerio and Tinny going, neither of them connecting. And it's this kind of moment, Envy just needs to find a way around Chacaron. He is alone at the back, but positioned so well there. Knew exactly where Envyus was planning to channel that ball, covers that channel, clears it away. As these final 30 seconds come around, Endpoint just need to not be silly like they were in the previous series, and we should see a decisive victory here.
Oh, that's not a great touch. An opportunity for a follow-up, and Maut will be the first player in. Endpoint just leaving that 3rd player back, recognizing that they do have the 1-goal advantage, and there is no need to...
Whoa, what a dunk! What a Frizz!
What a pre-jump that was! Managed to just get there immediately. Read the play like a book.
I don't know why you would jump for that. I guess it's a scramble, final moment, last 10 seconds, you may as well go for it. But it is back in Endpoint's control. And as the clock ticks down, Tinny is just going to back off and let the game end as Endpoint get the 3-0 sweep over Team Envyus. Looking solid, only winning by 1 goal each game, but they are the winners.
Absolutely. Endpoint, this is huge for their season. We already saw Infused go 0-3 earlier today. This keeps them in the running for those playoff spots. Remember, that will be top 4 at the end of the season, and this, you're starting to see what Endpoint do every single season. They go in waves, and now it looks like they are on an up spike, because that from them was not necessarily the cleanest I've seen them play, but at the same time, it was cleaner, and that is a good place to be going in right now.
It was indeed. So Season 1, they improved as the season went on. They had a little bit of a scrappy off-season where they had a little bit of time off, and now they're coming back in, and they're improving week on week. And that's what we want to see from these teams in the Elite Series, learning, getting better, and scoring some wonderful goals. And I love how Endpoint are changing each week. We saw them using that back pass a little bit more, bringing Envy players out, but it was just the difference in finishing. Envy just couldn't find the net as consistently as Endpoint.
Yeah, and Envy just seemed like they got hit by nerves in this third game as well. The rotation was all over the place. It cost them the first goal, it cost them the second goal. And that gives Endpoint their first win of the season, and you can just see just how happy they were with that one. It wasn't necessarily like a big pop-off, it was more of a feeling of relief. Their season is saved with that win.
It is indeed. They're always happy, though, even if they win or lose. I mean, Tinny came out of the Method game having been royally beaten and was happy at the fact that he got to play against an incredible Method team. That's the kind of attitude these guys have, and we love it here at the Elite Series. So Endpoint get their first match win of the series, the Gfinity Elite Series. I want to know what Ariel is going to ask the players who won that game. Endpoint with Ariel.
All of Endpoint. This never happens. All 3 of you winning players. Give me some fist pumps. I've got really chunky rings on, so it probably hurts you all. Yes, that's the result we wanted.
Definitely.
What did it take?
I don't know, just, we're all talking, we're all doing what we have practiced over these few months. It didn't work the first 2 weeks, but, today, I think we stepped it up a bit more.
Has there been lots of training this week, lots of practicing?
Yeah, we've stepped it up. Since we won the last season, we dropped off a little bit, but we're picking it back up now. So I think you'll see a better Endpoint than we've seen these last few weeks.
I like this. It sounds focused. Cheerio, come to you. Could we see Cheerio being the top goal scorer in the Elite Series? What do we think?
Well, I didn't score many goals today.
Yeah.
Mostly my teammates, but so maybe most assists, most saves, something like that.
Most assists. I like that. You keep being quite modest about that. But let's aim high. And top goal scorers for all of you. 1, 2, and 3 at Endpoint. Well done, guys. Absolutely smashed it this week.
Thank you very much, Ariel. Love Chacon. Yeah, we picked it up, and they did pick it up, They were brilliant. Love them to bits. They finally get that win. All the practice is paying off. All the coaching they're having, whatever they are doing, it seems to be working. That was more like we'd expect to have seen them the champions, wasn't it?
I'm let down by my boys Envy, but at the same time, you can't not be happy for Endpoint when you see them post-match. Oh, good on them. They've got the win. 3-0 as well. I'm just really happy for the guys.
Is that because of the, you predicted Envy?
100%, yeah.
And because the Tin Man here, without a heart, picked Tinny, and what a vital goal he got today.
Yeah, my heart came good, and Tinny was excellent. In the third game, I think what ended up being the winner for Endpoint, he had an open goal. He hit the post. Yeah. And, I think Chakaron was following up. But other than that one slightly shaky moment, he was very, very solid in attack. Normally, we associate Cheerio as being the goal scorer in that team. But my man Tinny, my Tin Man, he pulled through. I knew he would. I backed him. I believed.
You did. If you believe, you will achieve. Exactly. We know the rhyme. What happened to Envy today?
They're having another season just like the last, where it looks like they're on the up and then they just completely fall to pieces, and maybe they're going to get an upset win against league leaders next week like they did last season 1, but they're such a hard team to predict. You never know what team's going to show up, and it's bad as well because now they're, I think, 1 and 2 in the standings. Not a place you want to be with a couple of teams being 3-0, racing away.
I believe they are playing Prophecy next week.
Yes.
So that is going to be tough to bounce back off a team that's 0-2 and to lose to them. What's nice about it for the Elite Series, it shows that anyone can beat anyone on their day if you perform and play well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it most probably with Reason this season, who last season were more or less the whipping boys. And this season they've come through and they're 1-1, 2-0. Either way, they're 2-0, yeah. 2-0. They're outdoing.
Could go 3-0.
They're winning. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see it for the final game.
Today.
But yeah, anyone can indeed beat anyone, as we saw today. I mean, both these teams, Endpoint and Envyus, each game was 2-1, the first one in OT. We could be sat here talking about a 3-0 Envy win just as easily. Endpoint had the ability to push over the line when they needed to, but none of these games were a thrashing. There was no quality disconnect between both teams that I noticed.
No, and we could see some of the highlights, the best bit of the 3 matches. Obviously, it finished 3-0. Envy will have to pick themselves up. They can analyse this footage and work out where their formation, where the positioning and stuff like that. Is that what normally teams would do, going away from a loss like today?
I certainly hope so. That's what's really going to separate the good teams from the great teams as Rocket League grows as an esport, is who can accept their losses and learn from them. You don't want to run away from your losses and just say, oh, let's just forget about that and move on. Of course, there is an element to about rebounding from a loss where you just need to move on, focus on the task ahead. But you want to pick up some lessons from the past as well before you discard that and look on to the next challenge. I mean,
we were backstage and we were loving the beautiful deft touch that Waffle had coming off the ceiling and then down. And it wasn't, unfortunately, a goal in that situation. But they've got the skill. They just need to click.
Yeah, their team, they need to start well, I think, Envy, because they've had sweeps a few times in both Season 1 and now Season 2. But if they don't start well, they look so shaky. They just really don't trust each other defensively, and they're not following up on each other's hits. So maybe without a good start, they're yet to find a way to really come back and regain their footing after they've been pushed back and made to stumble.
Indeed. And Cole, final point on Endpoint. Going forward from now, they got that win finally.
Yep.
Elite Series Season 2. I mean, what happens? Do they go on? Can they now kick on? Is this enough for them?
I said these were 2 even teams, and in the 3rd game, you and I were discussing it when we were watching backstage. In the 3rd game, Endpoint suddenly started to put in these amazing passing plays of all 3 members of the team pushing forward. It was for a little bit like watching Method in their pomp. I think when they really turned it on, Waffle won a 50-50 and ended up getting an open goal. Yeah, so it didn't work out too well for them in that exact moment. The fact that they were trying these passing plays and sort of showing this level of pizzazz that they suddenly get. Yeah, this faith in each other. Yeah. That's what I hope to see more of going forward. I hope for them to emulate the way Method play. All 3 men in attack. It's just beautiful to watch. And we've seen today that they can do it in patches.
I've got to say thank you to you, Cole, and Johnny Boy, because, Cole, I mean, you've used the word pomp and pizzazz there, which... that is a great way to start a little break before, because we've had 3 matches. We're 3 down, 1 to go, and the remaining game is a battle of unbeatens. Excel and Reason have been dominant in the opening weeks of Season 2. Pomp and pizzazz. Only one, though, will keep that perfect record after today. A perfect game to round off a brilliant day in the Gfinity Arena. Grab a protein bar and an energy drink. The action continues right here in just a few moments.
Mommy Snow will carry it into the net. He will take advantage. Prophecy 2 and 1 up. Beautiful shot off. And Prophecy will take the win.
That's more like it. Game 1. Rebound from Doomsy. This shouldn't be happening. He's got the goal.
The 2-1 to Method.
Method have shown up and have taken down Envyus.
Oh, Cheerio! Endpoint get the 3-0 sweep over Team Envyus.